Alright YouTube, today I'm over at a buddy's. We're going to do some brakes on an OBS Ford F350. It's a pretty clean truck, but I thought I'd give you guys a crash course on drum brakes. So you see we're starting off, you know, it's not always ideal to work in the stones, but we got a big jack stand and we got our wheels blocked, so we're safe. So we're going to get rolling with this. Alright, this is going to be probably hard to see, but there's a slot right here, and this gives you access to your self-adjuster. I'll show you here in a minute. All your drum brakes use a self-adjuster, so when you're backing up, there's a ratcheting mechanism that moves this to spread the shoes apart. So we need to adjust that all the way in before we remove our drum. This tool comes into play, or you can use a short flat screwdriver. See here, we're using the tool to run that adjuster. Alright, we got the drum off. Found maybe part of the problem. One of the main brake springs was bent, busted, and just hanging out loose. I usually don't tear both sides apart at the same time, and I'm familiar with this brake system, so I don't need to. But at home, you guys could snap a picture just so you have an orientation of your springs, just your iPhone or whatever. To make it easier to get apart, I'm going to spread the shoes and pull the self-adjuster out. That's going to relieve some of this spring tension. And then we're going to compress this spring and pull these pins out to get our shoes off. They make a tool for these that I don't have, but we're going to make it work. To change our self-adjuster, and we're going to do a wheel cylinder on this too, we got to remove this parking brake lever. And there's a, I can't get the camera in there, there's a stud all the way through. This is a 11 or maybe a 7/16. All right, now that we got the parking brake lever removed, it just pulls out of there. We've got access to change our wheel cylinder. There's just a couple bolts on the back and the brake line. And on this truck, we're going to be replacing the rear brake line. It's junk, but I've just pinched it off to keep from leaking brake fluid. We'll deal with that later. Here's what we got going on with our old wheel cylinder. It's pretty cruddy. You can see there's a lot bypassing the rubber seal in there. But we got another problem too. I went to match this up. You know, of course, this certain auto parts company gave us two right wheel cylinders. So I should have double checked that at the store, but I guess this will be continued. Now we got to set up our hardware for self-adjusters. You're just going to use your old shoes as a template for how everything goes. Now we got this saddle for our self-adjuster cable. So since we got our parking brake lever out of the way, now is a good time to go on and put our new wheel cylinder in. The other thing I did, I went back to the shop and made a tool for those springs. It works. It's not great, but I just wanted to include that. So we're just going to take our home built tool. Stretch the spring just like so. And we'll repeat that on the other side. Now we got to change our cable for our self-adjuster, and that requires removing this bolt. So we're going to thread the nut back on there and tap it out. We don't want to ruin the threads. Just like that. Now it's going to want to spin, so we're going to put our locking pliers on here so we can take the nut off. Now you want to remember the orientation of your bushing. Slides right back on there. It just gets the splines back in that bushing. Alright, so with the parking brake arm installed, you can see your self-adjuster goes down this saddle and it runs behind your retaining spring, and all you do is lift up on the adjuster lever and hook it in. We're going to install our top spring now. You could have done this before the lever went on or after. It doesn't really make any difference. So I just got a small flat screwdriver. You see we levered it right into the hole. Lower spring is going to go in this bottom hole, and then we're going to stretch it over to the other side. Sometimes they don't go all the way in perfectly, so there we go. Now we're going to put some anti-seize on our self-adjuster, and then we're going to spread the shoes and install it. Okay, for the self-adjuster, we're going to spread the shoes and put it on, but as far as orientation, this ratcheting mechanism always goes up to run the adjuster. So you can see in this position, as we go up, when it grabs it, it's going to spread the shoes. So that's the orientation that we want. There we go. These drums always come with a light coat of oil, so you want to use some sort of brake parts cleaner. And we're just going to wipe that out. So what you're going to do, pull this back with your finger, and you're going to run your adjuster out and put your drum on to get your initial adjustment. So I like to hear a light drag, and we're not quite there yet. There we go. We got a light drag. Now don't forget, when you go back together, you've got an alignment pin that lines up on your wheel. So we ran out of time and battery yesterday, so the video was a little abrupt. We got our last wheel, our simulator on. The only thing we have left is to torque the lug nuts. So we got the brakes finished up on the driver's side. I didn't include the passenger side in the video, as it would just be redundant. One is a mirror image of the other. If anybody wants to see how to bleed the brakes, I'll probably do that in a separate video. So I hope that helps someone out. Thanks for watching.